If it's like super duper early, that'd suck. Yeah, no, it's fine. 20 minutes early, don't care. Yeah, that's good. Good to hear you're starting to get your follower count up. Because, like, I've made comments on the stream that, like, the follower count so far is, like, you know, because you always have those stupid bots who hop in and are like, you can buy a bunch of followers by going to whatever their website is. And whatever, and almost every time we have one of those bots pop in, I'll take 2 seconds to be like, you know, if you're actually trying to stream and succeed, one, don't buy these, like, bot followers, because, for one thing, you can actually get your account banned on Twitch. So, like, any legitimate progress you've made, it will just be undone like that. And then the other thing is, followers who never actually tune in to your stream, like, ever, like those bot ones, don't really help your stream in a meaningful level. Your follower count, so far as to other people, is a pretty minor thing, in my opinion. Maybe I'm incorrect in that, but, like, it's not that big a deal. Now that, when you have followers that, like, they join, they drop in, they follow, they pop in occasionally, those follower counts do matter. Because that's the people who are going to find your channel and return to it from time to time. But just the raw follower count is not a good metric for how your channel is doing. Like, I would say your average viewer count is probably your strongest indicator of how your channel's doing. And it's also a flawed metric to use for trying to gauge, like, how good, bad, or otherwise your stream's doing. But with the absence of having, like, a full metric that covers just, you know, it's a proxy. We discussed proxies in the channel before, that you're measuring something that doesn't directly measure what you want to know, but it's something related to the thing you want to know. Oh, you're getting your stream deck set up. Awesome. Average Poity deaths? I mean, I believe my channel has the highest number of Poity deaths there is, other than maybe your channel itself. Or, I don't know if you stream Poity. I'm sorry. But, to my knowledge, of the channels I've watched in a meaningful amount, because, you know, I stream, so I kind of am participating actively, I don't know a channel with a higher count of Poity deaths. Gotcha. I didn't think you did, but I didn't want to assume. Because I do know there are tons and tons of people who stream, and most of them, like, I will say, if you're someone who's like, I'm gonna stream and I'm gonna be the next big thing, first, pump them brakes. The Great Danish. Poity deaths are my favorite part of the channel. Sorry, Poity. Alright, get this one out of here. This one on our back. I kind of wish I would find less spears, if I'm being honest. Pancreas, I got a button now that opens Veto Tube. TITS, the throwing system. OBS, and then opens Nightbot. Trigger Fire, I don't know what that is. Twitch dashboard on the browser, then puts every window where I want it across the 2 monitors. Oh, that's neat. The way I start my stream is I have one button here that it'll open OBS, it'll open Pretzel, which is what I use to play the music. Well, so there's a few other things it'll do. Basically, it opens a couple of applications. And then I have a second button that will switch my my stream to, like, my starting scene, where it has, like, the countdown stream starting in 5 minutes, whatever it is, as well as, like, actually fire off the whole the whole thing. But then as far as like posting on Discord and all that, I actually have it so my Discord I post to automatically using if this then that. And then Twitter I post to automatically using this if this then that. I'm actually pretty disappointed when it comes to the Twitter functionality for if this then that. I wish it could read the title of my stream, so that way my post on Twitter would just be the title of the stream with the link kind of thing. Instead of going live, you know, name game, and that's like about it. Just going live, name game, URL. Like, which isn't terrible. And I know I could sit there and at the start of every stream type out on, you know, a Twitter post and all that, and I should. If we're being real, I probably should do that myself. Versus having like the same canned thing every day. But yeah. But I also always place my windows in the exact same location, whether I'm streaming or not. So I haven't had to go and like tell it to move windows around or anything. I could see though, especially if you have limited video, like limited screen space, where when you're not streaming you might move one window over, like your browser window. I could like the browser window is probably the biggest one I could see that with, putting it on your main screen versus when you're streaming, have it on a secondary screen. I was expecting to see more zombies down here, and I'm pretty excited that I'm not seeing more zombies down here. But this is all a really good indicator that where we've been fighting on that main drag, that our theory that, like, there's certain parts of the map that are, like, hot spots that really wants to have zombies on. Basically the urban focus. That if you clear out those areas, it will naturally try and pull the nearby zombies to where it's supposed to be focusing the population. So effectively you can just meat grinder the highest population part of town, and it will naturally fill it in. Zombie, don't give me the spear. I don't want more spears. Spears are fine. Like, they are powerful, but they're actually not one of my favorite kinds of weapons. I mean, I like them more than axes, but still. Oh yeah. Like, and also with the Stream Deck, I actually have what I call like a panic button. I've never had to use it. A while back, they're having real problems with what are known as hate raids. I don't know if that's still going on, but I still keep the panic button just in case. But the idea with the hate raid is these really crappy people will they'll join like an LGBTQIA friendly stream, and then they'll just start spouting off like all these hateful things in the chat. And then even worse is they'll go a step farther and they'll actually put, like, they'll take a screenshot of all the hateful things in chat and then report you to Twitch as like allowing that type of channel or whatever. But my panic button, if I push it, first thing it does is it switches chat to emote only, and then it clears chat, which gets rid of absolutely everything in chat. And that way, if you do end up with like one of those hate raids or whatever, you push the button, effectively like gagging everything. And then I have it where if I push it again, then it goes back to normal. I've never needed it, but, you know, I've been outspokenly, like, in support of, you know, being respectful of others. Like, even if you disagree with them, even if they're different than you, not doing that kind of stuff. You know, I have in my rules that, like, hate speech is just absolutely not allowed. And while I haven't run into that on Twitch yet, personally, I have been in communities that we've had those kind of rules, and then, you know, someone comes in and is just absolutely awful, and we just... I've mentioned that usually I give people the benefit of a doubt with a lot of stuff, but the moment someone drops hate speech, they're gone. Like, I don't care if they're, like, the most frequent subber, that they've tuned in every single hour since it doesn't matter. You'd just be gone immediately. When you're saying the auto bans, Deonchuck, you're talking about where, like, we're just talking about where the people who's doing the hate raid would then report the channel that they hate raided as allowing for hate stuff by using the evidence of their hate raid as, like, the thing. Is that how you talk about auto ban? Gotcha. Awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. Because to me, that was the thing. It's like, okay, you know, already bad enough, you've allowed these really awful people to do this really awful thing, and then you're going to punish the victim. And so I'm glad that that's something that's gone away. I would rather a toxic channel survive a little bit longer than normal, just to make sure you don't, you know, allow people to effectively weaponize it against innocent channels who are the victims of hate, than, you know, what was happening. Sadly, it has, like, a bunch of, like, little diamond things on it, because that's just the way Stream Deck shows, like, multi things. I'm sure I could make an icon for it. But yeah, no, it's not like a big red button or anything. Because I set up in a hurry, because we had, there was a bot associated with the hate raids that my understanding was, like, mapping out channels to figure out who to and not to go after, because they weren't even, like, targeting, like, giant channels or anything like that. They were specifically targeting kind of, like, medium to small-ish channels, you know, enough that they actually had some audience. You know, like, they had gotten over that first pump of, like, building your channel, but that were using the LGBTQIA tag and that kind of stuff is what they were targeting. But I am glad to hear that they basically died down entirely. Hey, look, another wedding dress, but I already have one, so, you know. Yeah, so I have a panic button. The entire middle row of my Stream Deck is just nothing but scene changes. So, like, the start... Like, honestly, I could probably get rid of my starting scene button, because I actually tied that into my my stream start button, the countdown screen. We could probably just get rid of that one at this point. But then I have for, like, my my main game screen is one of the buttons. I have a, like, where I have the away message that, you know, I'm taking a short break with the game still in the background. I have the one where I'm taking a short break where it has the graphic on the background for, like, when I'm switching games, or sometimes I just put it up because I really like the screen. I have a ending scene button, which I've used for multiple reasons, because, like, I have that credit roll at the end of the stream. That thing is a completely unreliable piece of junk half the time. Like, I love it, but I almost always have to go into Streamlabs and then manually fire it off. And I use just regular OBS for the record. But I have to go to Streamlabs website and, like, manually tell it to go, okay, you know, do the roll credits. So what I actually did is I actually tied into that button that it would go in Streamlabs would forcefully kick off the end credits. I've got for where I pop the little icon in the bottom right for when I'm eating or when I'm stretching. I haven't used a stretching one in a while because since I got on camera, I've kind of wanted to, like, show the stretching. I've got a pause alerts button that I've never used. And then I still have, from previously, a button to forcefully roll the credits when they're not working, kind of thing. Deontek says, yeah, there's no good reason for an auto-ban system is needed. If something is going to get that bad, so it should be pulled off the air ASAP, why is there not enough employees to answer the call instead? Bots can be exploited, they're just a cheap cop-out for taking responsibility. Thank you for the follow, ASG456. Welcome to the stream. And Pancro was saying, like, I've never seen the end of your streams because they're, like, 10-hour streams. Yeah. But no, that's, I've promoted the book a couple of times. There's a book called Weapons of Math Destruction, and it really goes into it. That's not necessarily like bots or automation, but any system, algorithm, automation, all that makes meaningful human decisions. The simple reality is it will have false positives. and one must take into consideration, well, false positives, false negatives, all those, and one must take into consideration the consequences of getting it wrong, as it were, and the negative effects that has. Because anytime you make a system that makes any meaningful decision, the possible outcomes are, one, it'll have, like, if it's searching for something, it will find it correctly and say, hey, we found the thing, and you action it. Cool. That's the bot working as intended. It will find that the thing, you know, whatever you're searching for, it did not have that correctly. Cool. You know, maybe you take no action because that's the outcome. You'll also have where it says, okay, there is a thing here, and there wasn't, and you gotta consider what the damage and consequences of that are, and you have the last outcome, which is it said there wasn't a thing when there was. And when it's something like really benign you're measuring, who cares? Not a big deal. When it's stuff like whether or not someone should be accepted to college, given a loan, like have their account banned, all those kind of things. Those false positives and negatives can actually be pretty severely impacting. Like that can ruin someone's livelihood. That can mean whether or not they, you know, they're able to buy a house. Like, it can be real severe. And it is an understandable problem where there are certain systems that just, we don't have enough people to handle. And I'm not saying that Twitch is one of them for the record. But, like, for example, the US court system, we just don't have the funding to handle it. And that should be a problem that we solve. But it is what it is for the time being, unless things change. So they do use algorithms all to the side, like, okay, do we think this person should be eligible for parole or not? Let's put it against the algorithm. And you can never like, the biggest problem with all these things is you're almost always stuck measuring proxies, not the actual thing. So, like, is a person going to be a good candidate for the job? I don't know. Like, you have an interview. That's, like, that doesn't measure their ability to do the job. It's just getting the impression. Maybe you give them an aptitude test. Well, that doesn't mean they're necessarily good at their job. It just means they know how to do an aptitude test, which maybe implies they're good at their job. But those are what are known as proxy measurements. They're not measuring what you actually want. They're measuring something that might imply what you want. You know, whether someone learned a subject. You have them take a test that's just a bunch of arbitrary questions related to that subject that implies that they might know the subject, or that they might not. But it could also be a measurement of just that they suck at tests, and that they'd be perfectly fine as, like, a civil engineer or whatever the test is on. And it's a big problem. Why did you all turn and walk away suddenly? It's like, oh, because my truck is parked there still. I forgot about that. I feel like not even using that truck. It's just been sitting there. Alright, I'm gonna run when we hit this corner. And I just did that way in case a zombie happened to come around that corner at the same time I was approaching it. You know, we'd shove our way past it. I didn't anticipate there would be a zombie since we were just here. But yeah, like this one very well could have been farther along type thing. So, just jogged a couple steps. Good old precautionary jog. Don't want to do it too much, otherwise we'll get exerted. Yeah, the one thing with those, the bars I will say does affect is once I get into the mode where I'm like, okay, we're at hunting knife because we hit exerted or moderately exerted right about there. Switching back from the hunting knife, that is something I don't do much without the bars anymore. It's like with the bars I know it's like, oh, I've recovered enough stamina that I feel comfortable switching. Granted, even then I didn't do it much before, but I would actually do it. Alright, so we've had Dr. Bubbles has cashed in some push-ups, so I'm going to go ahead and do those push-ups, and I'll be right back. Alright, as I zoom in on accident, trying to pull up my spreadsheet. We're already over halfway through all of our push-up redemptions for the stream. I was actually sitting there, it's like, why are these push-ups a little bit harder today? Like, like, did I not get enough sleep? And it's like, oh crap, I've already done 60 push-ups and we're barely 2 hours into the stream. That'll do it. That might be the cause. I'm not messing with that zombie on the door. I'm gonna just tear down that door. You know, we might actually clear Rosewood today. If the rest of the area is anywhere near as quiet as this has been. Of course, I'm saying this, and then we're going to get a helicopter and just suddenly, you know, the whole place will be on fire again. But, you know, we won't know till we get there. Risky stabs are risky. That was not playing that fight right. Luckily, at high nimble, you can get away with everything. Deontric says, push it like you mean it. Imager Smirk saying, I'm managing to keep up. It feels like we cleared too many towns for 5% only. Well, the thing to keep in mind is these first 2 towns we've cleared. Well, I mean, technically 3 if we count Ekron. But the first 3, I mean, we haven't cleared Rosewood yet. We shouldn't get too ambitious spot. But we're talking like the lowest population on the map. Like, if you'll bear with me for just a moment. Yep, I think we're all good here. Let me pull up the map. Well, I don't have hard numbers to keep this up. I'm willing to bet if you bisected the map, like so that West Point was up here, if you bisected the map here, more zombies are up here than down here. Like this small section of map has more zombies than all of the rest of the map. So yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, Deonchuk, is I'm willing to bet like up here, just this area here would probably be like 60-70% of the map. You know, and this would be like 10% of the map, and then this would be the rest. Maybe this whole area of the map probably comes up to, I would guess, a little, maybe if we count all the stuff in the bottom left here, I'd guess it's like 12-13% of the total population is down here to the southwest. And that's just because Muldrow is actually a decent population. Same with Martridge. Martridge is pretty decent too. But yeah, so while we're destroying a decent number of cities, we're talking like zombie population concentration and all that. We've been hitting the little stuff. I fully anticipate when we get to like Louisville that we're just going to set up shop nearby Louisville, and the zombies are going to naturally like just push out of town at us. And it'll be more us trying to hold our ground at wherever we locate than actually pushing into Louisville. Like, Louisville will come to us at the beginning. Which I've mentioned before, it's like, you know, with as much as we're pushing in and doing this kind of thing, the thought of just, like, having a building near one of the towns and just having the meat grinder, like, defend your home kind of thing actually feels like a pretty interesting switch up. Alright. Yes. There's 2 malls in the game now. Where's our... Do we not have our nightstick on us? Oh. I'll just not have something there. We'll go grab... I probably have nightsticks in here. But yeah, there's a... Yes. Yeah, basically any place has a real concentration of zombies, I'm gonna clear. So like the mall will be cleared, the neighborhoods southwest of Louisville will be cleared. Like we're gonna hit it all. Let's see. Pine Crow says, Stream Deck question, Rual. I've got a panic button set up. How do you turn stuff off with the meat only and the second push? So I forget what it's called. There's something like a toggle button as one of your options. So you do like the toggle button, and then you do a multi-command for each of the toggle buttons. Like, because the toggle button has two settings. Yep. So the idea is I push it once, and it toggles it over to, like, I've cleared chat, I put into emote only mode, and then the second toggle will then take it back out of emote only mode. Yeah, and even though, like, we've heard that hate raids aren't kind of a big thing anymore, I think it's good to have the panic button, just in case, one, they come back kind of thing, or, you know, two, there's some other new hostile thing where, like, a whole bunch of people join your channel and just be jerks. Or, for example, like, you know how, like, certain discussions can pop up that get a little bit heated, and if there's like one or two individuals doing it, no problem. You just go to the one or two individuals and you quickly time them out kind of thing and go, look, you know, so here's your cool off time. But you might have a case where there's like a decent number of people all hop in that like a bunch of people together are getting heated. That's like, all right, I'm not going to take the time to like time out like 10 different people who get into like an argument. So like in that case, I would just push the panic button for a minute. You know, as the streamers say, like, hey, look, you know, calm yourselves, like, whatever it is. I wouldn't actually say calm yourselves, I'd probably just rile up people more. But it's like, hey, look, this conversation's over, we're moving on. You know, anyone else who brings it up after that point, then they'll get, you know, a 24-hour timeout kind of thing, or a ban, depending on how severe it is, or what, like, the topic also matters. Like, which is like a stupid topic that, like, doesn't really have an impact that's just gotten out of hand. It's like, alright, you know, chill time. But if it's something like getting really heated, then it's like, okay, you know, deal with it. Fortunately, I haven't had that. Like, I've had once or twice, and I honestly probably should be a little bit more aggressive in my use of timeout, in all honesty. But we have had once or twice where, you know, someone will make a comment that's like very, very clear. It's like, look, like that's, like, you may believe that, but like that is fairly unacceptable kind of stuff. And so then they'll like kind of argue their points and just kind of justify themselves. It's like, I don't care about your justifications. Justifications aren't the point. If something's harmful, it's harmful. The why you choose to do a harmful thing is fairly irrelevant. But I really should get to the point with stuff like that where it's just like, okay, like, you know, you've said your piece, I've said my piece, and done. And that doesn't come up often. That's pretty rare. Not that it never happens. But I don't think I've seen a single Twitch channel that just once in a while you don't have someone who hops in there and they've got their hard stance on something that, whatever reason, whether it's relevant or irrelevant or whatever, they've just taken a hard stance. And the person like tries to shut it down, saying like, hey, look, we're not having it. Hey, how's it going, Lulu? And I do try and give people the benefit of the doubt kind of thing. Lulu dropped it in. Heated argument 1. Heated argument 2. Zidian. Enhance your calm. It's the classic. The best way to get someone to not calm down is to tell them to calm down. Alright, and it did look like we're getting low on food. Yeah, I'm down to potatoes. So I'm just gonna work our way out of the city at this point. Alright, I would like you all to come my way, if you do not mind. That's right, that's right. Suckers. Yeah, so we do have a bunch of zombies who moved in up here. The Greater Danish. I am calm. Dr. Bubble said, what made you choose 16x pop? I like to do challenge runs. And I mean, I also have been someone who enjoys the meat grinder style gameplay in Project Zomboid. Where you just kind of, you know, you fight the zombies. Because, like, you know, I've been very clear on the stream and number times. Like, I actually think sprinters in the game as they are not fun. They change the paradigm of game in a way I don't care for. But honestly, it was the last character I had that went, like, a little bit over a year kind of thing. Which is before I was streaming. Like, I had gotten bored in the game because I was playing in apocalypse mode. I had gotten a base fully situated. I had enough food and water that I didn't have to, like, worry about anything. Like, we were just set. And so I was like, alright, well, what do I do? And I was like, we'll take on the mall. Like, that's the highest density population. And did that for, like, 6 in-game months. Just meat grindered the mall because I had respawns on and everything. And, you know, I still knew the game and everything. And did that till eventually I got God in the escalators. But yeah, so I found by doing them all, I was like, you know, I do like where you just butt your head against the wall with the zombies and see who comes out on top. And so naturally, 16x pops is about as, you know, as high as you can set it. So, yep. The Greater Danish is the highest you can go with without a mod for it. Yep. I didn't see that zombie because I was looking at chat. Rip that zombie. That's one less zombie I'm going to get a count for, as well as I banged up my hood, I'm sure. Papa Manser says, so calm. Dr. Bubbles got you. Well, 1 year in 16x is crazy. Deonchit says, my personal favorite is Contain the Calamity. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to exactly repeat that one, but yeah. Yeah. The Greater Data says, disclaimer, do not literally butt your head against the zombies. I mean, if they had functionality for it, I mean, why not? But yeah. Knowing my luck, we're going to go back to restock today, and the helicopter's going to show up. And I once again won't be able to use the helicopter to my advantage. It'll just be, like, wasted in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, check. Headbutting zombies can't possibly be worse than the two-handed shove. Dr. Rose, I am stumped by how to pronounce the word... Oh, that word is mammaries. It's, Yep. Exactly. Lewd. That was the reason I wasn't going to, like, repeat the quote. Is like, yeah. The helicopter won't, like, sit directly on top of you, Lulu. But what ends up happening is the zombies near enough around you will actually move around in a meaningful amount. So while it means the zombies won't be drawn directly to you, it means the zombies around you are going to kind of just move all over the place. So that's the reason it can still be dangerous even when you're sitting there. That said, like, if you're in a house and you're in an upstairs bathroom not making any noise during it, the chances some random zombie walks upstairs, shows up at your, you know, door and starts banging on it is pretty negligible. Yeah. I was not familiar with that, Fenrir. That said, I'm probably not going to repeat stuff that, alludes to people's anatomy. Like, there's nothing particularly wrong with what you're saying and all that in any way. Just not something I'm going to repeat out loud. Alright, where I skipped all the others, this zombie is actually, like, just chilling in town, as is that zombie. I mean, we have been away from here for, like, a week. You're going to have some stroll in. And we did fight the last helicopter right down here. Vancouver says, okay, got the panic button set up, Rual. Thank you for the advice very much. I really appreciate that you're always willing to be so darned helpful. Yeah, that was the last helicopter we had yesterday. Like, we were at the base when we saw the air activity detected message. And it's like, okay, let's see how close we can get to Rosewood. And we got to about, like, here when the helicopter showed up. We only got about halfway across Akron when it showed up. So we fought the helicopter down on that T intersection. So there's a bit more zombies down by that T intersection. This is pretty close to vanilla. There's no, like, special weapons or cars or, you know, cities or anything like that. Most of the mods I did have loaded, which are informational, more than actually changing anything. I've currently got them all hidden because there was a question of how much I was or wasn't leaning on them. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. Let's hide them all and see how much I am leaning on them. And I've noticed, like, one or two things. Like, there's one of the mods that, like, let me know. I'll actually show you what it shows in a moment. Because they're still loaded, because I find unloading mods mid-playthrough can ruin a save file, so I don't want to. So I've just been hiding it. But, like, so I can go up here to this, and I can choose show all the bars. That's, like, minimal display bar, so that's the kind of mods I have been running. And so it'll show me, like, how sleepy I am, how fatigued I am, all that kind of stuff, how many calories I've got to my name. But I've been hiding that, and I have weapon condition indicator, which shows how worn out your weapons are. I've also been hiding that, just to kind of see. Yeah, I did get the light bar where I can repair the light bar mod, because even the devs of the game were like, oh, yeah, the light bar should be repairable, but it's not. Yeah. Yeah, changing mods like, so adding mods is not as dangerous. Well, I shouldn't say that. You can absolutely ruin a save file adding mods, to be clear. I have personally found adding mods to be less problematic than removing mods. I found removing mods mid-playthrough is just asking for a playthrough to be completely hosed. And that's with me not doing very much modding at all. Yeah, so this is pretty close to vanilla. Where's the electrical at now? It's still 4. Like, I think the only meaningful thing I've done with electricals, I think I took apart 1 phone booth or set of payphones. I don't anticipate that getting to the next level anytime soon. Dr. Will says, I ruined mine with a superb... 1 second. Oh. Sorry. Dr. Will saying, I ruined mine with superb survivors and I can't take it off because I didn't back up, so toughing it out. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I actually, like, am super light on the mods. Because I've 100% seen, like, runs where people have, like, added mods or like, well, my run's ruined, so I guess I'm starting over. Just because they went, they didn't just mod, but they put, like, some significant mods that just changed it in ways that they didn't like or whatever, and they couldn't take it back kind of thing. Alright. Well, I'm a big fan of the crowbars and all that. I do not need, like, 3 crowbars on my person. Not at maintenance 8. I really don't need that many crowbars on my person. Alright. Don't need you. Put the amplifier here. Stash some vitamins. Get the extra vitamins we pulled, put those away. Take the garbage bags we found, put those away. And the duct tape. We're tailoring thread, so put that away. Cool. Alright, so let's grab a bunch more veggies. Go over here to our carrot or the tomatoes. And I believe I've got a bunch of random stuff in the trunk of the van that I want to put away. Alright, so, leaving the hunting knives. I don't need that many nightsticks. I'll never need that many nightsticks. Let's leave like 2 in there. I don't need the axe. I don't need that many crowbars. One spare will be fine. Keep the tools for fixing stuff. Grab the propane tank. These I'll put in our main inventory because I can place them down from there, but I can't from the bag. Grab that. Okay, leave the clothes. I wish I could place the gnomes facing both directions, that they didn't always have to face, you know, face the camera, as it were. Expand the flamboyance. Excellent, the flamboyance grows. That's not what I wanted. Oh, and that actually shows you something. Because I had that bag in my secondary hand, you can't climb a fence or whatever, the tall fence, with stuff in your other hand, so my character dropped the bag automatically. There's something to keep in mind when you are doing 2 bags. If you start climbing a bunch of fences, you will leave your bag behind. And that's actually true of pretty much anything you can put in your offhand, so just keep that in mind as you're racing around, that you can accidentally drop stuff on the ground, and I've absolutely had times where I've dropped stuff on the ground and couldn't figure out where I left it. Because it'll be like when you're running from zombies type thing. And also tripping, you'll often drop whatever's in your hands. Even often at times you can drop your weapon if you trip. They've had once or twice where we've dropped stuff that we were holding in our hands and we tripped and like, well, don't know where that is. Alright. Where have I been putting the propane? I don't have room for it there. I do here, so go ahead. And those propane tanks, you can use them to refill your welding torch. Your propane torch you use to cut apart metal stuff and all that. They don't give you a ton of refills, but I mean it is the only means of getting refills. We are tired. I am expecting the helicopter soon, so we won't push our luck. Grab this, because we had extra water bottles we found. So put them away. Alright, I think we're good so far as our weapon supplies. We got an extra crowbar stashed away just in case. We have, we've got a bunch of hunting knives in the truck. Got a bunch of food on us. Eat this. And then we'll fast forward till it's later, so that way when we go to sleep and we wake up in the morning, you know, it won't be dark when we wake up. Yep, there are 25 katanas on that bed. Every single one of those is broken, but that's because we use them all to kill a bunch of zombies. For the record, I have not changed the loot settings. I don't have any mods that change the loot settings. We are on the default Apocalypse loot, which is rare.